Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be an interesting one. First of all, Batushka Rant hairstyle's back, even though the makeup isn't. Will I ever wear makeup on this channel again? Debatable at this point. But this video is going to be talking about the separation of art from the artist. Do you think it can be done? How far can you really go? Things like that. So if you're unfamiliar with this concept, it's basically like, can you still enjoy what someone creates, be it music, art, movies, etc., if the person is potentially not a very good person? Like maybe they've done some questionable or like definitely really bad things in their life. A YouTuber that I really like called Savannah Brown did do a video on this a while ago. I'll link that below. I'll probably be touching on similar things to her, so if you're interested in watching that, because she's probably gonna do a lot better job, like she probably did a lot better job than I'm about to do of describing it, but anyway. So, given that my channel is about metal for the most part, we will be looking at some specific examples in the metal community, and one band that I do really want to talk about is Pantera and how they tie into that. So I am a Pantera fan. That's probably clear if you've been watching my videos since I started here. I am a Pantera fan. However, there are some people that have qualms with Pantera given some of their imagery, some of the things that they've said, maybe just their general background. Some people don't really like that, or it sort of leaves a bad taste in their mouth for a few reasons. If you go on Google Images and you type in Pantera or just like merch or anything, like you won't really have to scroll through very many pictures or look for a very long time to find something that has the Confederate flag on it, be it imagery on their merch, on items of clothing that the members wear, in the background of their photos. The most notable example would be on Dimebag's guitars. And most people probably know that the Confederate flag represents the Confederacy, which is a government that endorses black slavery, and that is not okay. It's just not. But with Pantera using it, some of you may have seen that flag in the background of some of their photos where it's got the Confederate flag and it says heritage, not hate, basically saying, we don't actually endorse slavery, we just like the fact that we're Southern. And obviously, there is nothing wrong with being Southern, and there is nothing wrong with being proud of being Southern. If you are from the South or from Texas, just that area, and you're proud of that, that's awesome, as long as you're not an asshole. Like, it's okay to be proud of where you're from, obviously. But I just, you know, Texas has its own flag. You could have used that so that you don't look, because you look like a white supremacist when you use the Confederate flag. I know that you're saying heritage, not hate, but like even Phil Anselmo himself has said that he regrets how much that they used the flag, that it was more just like an homage to Lynyrd Skynyrd because they were all really big fans of that band, and it wasn't really meant to be a hateful thing. But also the heritage not hate thing, he said that he doesn't really buy into that. Like when Phil Anselmo has regrets about racist things, you know, maybe it was pretty bad. I don't know, but one thing that Savannah did say in the video that I talked about before is that it kind of depends on how much of this bad thing leaks into what it is they actually create. So I would say there are probably some undertones in some of Pantera's music that are not incredibly nice. It's debatable, is there blatant racism in their music? Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. But I think some of it kind of comes from ignorance as well. There's this clip of Pantera performing in like 1995 or something, so a while ago, and Phil is saying something to the effect of, oh, there's all these signs around that say stop black on black crime, so what, it's okay to fucking shoot a white person? You know, like, who here is white and proud, which doesn't sound supremacist at all, Phil. And so I don't think that was necessarily him trying to be hateful as much as it was just ignorant. Like, caring about black people doesn't mean not caring about white people. And I don't think that's really something he got. I don't think he was trying to be harmful, he was just kind of ignorant about it. So yeah, that is an example of racism, I guess, and they're definitely not the only band that has some potentially racist undertones. But then, you know, there's viewpoints and there's maybe language that people use. Then there are people who actually do some really awful things, and I'm pretty sure we might not be thinking of the same person, but I'm gonna say his name. I'm talking about Varg Vikernes. He is literally an arsonist and a murderer. There is no other way to put it. he has committed some pretty serious crimes. I mean, arson, like, I get the point behind the burning churches because of the, you know, getting back at the... Yeah, but he's a murderer. And whether you think he deserved it or not, Euronymous, it doesn't matter. He's a murderer. So it's a little bit harder to separate art from artist in that case, just because he's done something that's definitely a bad thing to do versus just he has some viewpoints that you might not agree with. So my question would be, how much can a person really get away with in terms of you supporting them if you like their art? I guess that's what I'm looking at. And the other thing is, do you think it's different if the person is dead? So for example, you know, if someone like Dimebag, for example, he's dead, we know that, and he died like 15 years ago, so not that long ago, but, you know, semi-recently. Do you think that if he was still alive, maybe he would have reformed some of the things he said, maybe, you know, not necessarily completely changed, but just maybe eliminated some of the language that he used that wasn't really very nice? And I know I'm gonna sound like such a PC snowflake, whatever the fuck, like, I don't really care that much, but I don't know, it's interesting to say, or to think, like, would he be different now? And the other thing to do with a person not being alive anymore, whether they died recently or ages ago, is that sometimes you do have to look at the time and the context in which they were saying the things. Now, that doesn't mean that in that time it was okay, because it's never okay, it was just more accepted back then. And so I think in that case, it's more a sense of, we shouldn't be mad at the individual people, but we should maybe look at the context and say, well, it wasn't really okay for them to have accepted that back then, but that was all that they really knew, so we can't blame them for not being 20 years ahead and not being the most woke person to ever walk the earth. And some of that has to do with some homophobic language as well. Now, I mean, there are some elements of homophobic language that are not necessarily always directed towards the LGBT plus community, of which I am a member, just in case I get flamed for a word that I'm about to say. But a pretty big example would be the word fag. It's a word that my voice just cracked when I said fag. But that word has been thrown around. It's mostly directed towards LGBT people, particularly gay people, but it also just gets used generally as an insult, and it's kind of become like an empty insult now, so I don't know. But for example, there is a clip of Cliff Burton from like the 80s when he was alive saying this.
Fuck you, puss, fag, slut.
Am I gonna suddenly cancel him and be like, well, I don't like him anymore. I don't care if he's an amazing musician, a talented person, a loving person, and the absolute light of my life. He said a word more than 3 decades ago, and now I'm not gonna support him. You know, like... So I don't think he was trying to be harmful when he said that word. I think it was just a matter of, back then it was more widely accepted, and it definitely still gets thrown around now, but I wouldn't necessarily blame the people who said the words like that as much as I would just the time, you know, because LGBT rights have come leaps and bounds in the last, I don't know, 50 years, even the last 100 years as well. So it's more about the time period than the individual people, and he wasn't really directing it. I think I don't know, he was just talking to one of his friends. I don't think he was directing it, and a lot of people who say things like that, they're not necessarily actually directing it as an attack to the LGBT community. If they are, that's a different story. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find the picture. If I can find it, I'll put it here. Otherwise, I'll just say, there's a picture of Sebastian Bach from Skid Row wearing a shirt that says, like, AIDS kills fags dead or something. So that's fucking lovely, isn't it? And yes, that was a long time ago, and I'm open to the possibility of him having changed his views since then, and that's okay. I don't really have much of an opinion on Skid Row, so don't take this as me attacking them. Like, I don't really care that much. He seems like a nicer person now. But yeah, I guess my point in saying that is that a lot of this kind of stuff did happen a while ago, and that doesn't mean that it's okay, but it just means that people can change. And if the people who said that stuff a while ago are dead now, there's no real way of knowing if they were alive today, would they have changed? That sort of thing. And yes, I know people are gonna be like, oh, they're just words, what's wrong with words? Well, it depends on the intent behind the word. That's the other thing. You kind of have to look at the intent. Did that person actually try and do harm? Or were they just a product of a society? I guess we live in a society. A product of a society that believed those words were okay to use, when nowadays we'd probably think not so much. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna end this video soon, because every time I do there's like another 3 minutes, but I will try and wrap it up at least. I guess what I want to get from this is, what do you think? Do you think that art can always be separated from the artist? Do you think it's always a linked thing? What do you think of the whole cancel culture thing? Honestly, I could make an entire video about how much I hate cancel culture. Like, let's just not let people grow and learn from their mistakes. Let's hold them accountable for every single slip up they make, because apparently celebrities are not humans, they're just perfect, and if they're imperfect we should never support them and we should just throw them in the fucking bin. Okay, it is too hot to be getting this worked up. So yeah, that is actually the end of the video. You can like it if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, that's fine. Leave a comment if you want. What are your thoughts on the matter? And I will see you in the next video. Also consider clicking subscribe if you want to. I'm almost at 100 subscribers, and I might be revealing my name when I get there. Not that that's probably a selling point for many of you. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.